y'all. I'm calling to order the Transportation and Transit Committee meeting. We have one item pending today for our consideration. Councilmember Branch is absent and excused, and I'll pass it over to Assistant City Manager Michael Moore.
Well, good afternoon, and thanks for having us today. Coming out of our one of our meetings back in the spring around Six Forks Road, there was some concerns and raised about kind of condition of pavement markings, which raised the issue of more in depth about what are pavement markings and what's the city's program and how does it work and what are we doing. We've got some folks here today from transportation. You've got a memo that on this subject that was in your backup, but we're going to share a presentation today just a little bit about the kinds of ins and outs of the pavement marking program and some of the challenges that we have with that in Raleigh today. I've got Rebecca Duffy, who is our signs and markings manager. I have a favor to ask of the committee. This is Rebecca's first TED Talk, so take it easy on her, and she's got a wealth of information to share. Before we start, you have at your seat an example of what thermoplastic looks like. You're going to hear that word a lot today, and as Rebecca gets kicked off, I'm actually going to bring around a bag of material. This is not gold, but this is thermoplastic in its raw form. This is a yellow striped line before you actually see it go down on the road. And then this, please don't open this. This is glass. These are glass beads. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca and have her get.
That's why, Ralph.
There we go. So it is a very dynamic and exciting subject. So Ralph, thanks. And Rebecca, I'll turn it over to you with that as I pass this around.
So thanks for having me today. Like Michael said, my name is Rebecca Duffy. I'm the Signs and Markings Manager. So I've worked at the city for almost 20 years now, and half of that time has been with the marking program. And I love pavement marking, so I'm excited to be able to tell you about our program. So this will be a relatively brief presentation today, and I invite you to stop me at any point in time if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. So our agenda for today is I want to go over an overview of our program. We're going to talk about some benchmarking that we did with other cities, some challenges that we have, some efficiencies that we've done, and a little peek at what's coming up ahead. So what are pavement markings? So we interact with pavement markings every day. So they're the markings and lines and symbols that you see on the road. Their examples are crosswalks, bike lanes, lane lines, and arrows. So their purpose is to guide all the road users where to go and how to travel safely. They are standardized by the Federal Highway Administration and NCDOT, so that helps keep things safe and predictable for everyone. So no matter where you're driving, whether it's in Charlotte or Montana, the pavement markings should look the same as here in the city of Raleigh. So as you see in the corner, this is the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. You might have heard of it being referred to as the MUTCD. So this is our regulatory document that has been adopted by council. So why are markings important? I hear a lot. It's just a bucket of paint, but markings are more than just paint. They save lives. So if drivers can't see a crosswalk, a lane line, especially at night or in the rain, then the risk of a crash goes up. So for our vulnerable users, like school children, pedestrians, bicyclists, the markings are critical to provide safe crossings and dedicated space for them. And this is especially important for our low vision users who are trying to navigate a crossing. They really rely on having well-defined markings to cross the street. So pavement markings, they're a critical part of our Vision Zero strategy. So they're one of the most effective ways to improve safety for everyone. So some examples of how we've used pavement markings for Vision Zero are the high visibility crosswalks, updating school markings. We have edge lines to better delineate curves in the road. And as you've seen downtown, we've put some bump outs in to shorten pedestrian crossings. So what are they made of? Most markings in the city of Raleigh are made of thermoplastic. So we're going to do a little bit of a show and tell. So at your seat there, you have a piece of thermoplastic. So these are heat activated, and they can be placed in the road just as it is. Or we use a powdered version, which is the yellow in the yellow bag there, that we heat up and then we apply to the asphalt. So you'll notice that they all have the glass beads. So that's what makes it reflective at night. Thermoplastic is considered really long lasting for about 5 to 10 years. But one thing to note about the installation and maintenance of thermoplastic, if it's not installed under ideal conditions, so the right weather, moisture content, or on newly resurfaced roads, it could shorten that lifespan. So if the road already has cracks in it, that could shorten the expected lifespan. So another material we use is paint. So this isn't really what you think of when you go to the home improvement store with that paint. This is made for durable traffic use. So the paint, like the thermoplastic, requires the use of those reflective beads. So if you look at the piece of thermoplastic that you have there, it's pretty thick to hold the beads, but paint is only a fraction of that thickness. So while it's made to be durable, it really is rarely used because it wears off quickly. And so paint has a lasting life of around 6 months to a year. And we as a city only use paint to refresh pavement markings or some really very temporary projects. One new material that we're trying out is called MMA. So it's a two-part chemical reaction that has a chemical bond to the road surface. It's very durable. We've heard a lot of people say that it lasts twice as long as thermoplastic. However, due to the time-intensive nature of installing it, it takes about 15 minutes to cure. It's not really viable for using for arrows and lane lines in the road. So you may have seen it, it's like up in the picture. We use it on bus lanes or those new scooter corrals on Glenwood South. So that's MMA. So for reference in this picture, we were just talking about the cure time for MMA. This truck is installing thermoplastic, and the cure time for that is around 5 minutes. So do you guys have any questions on materials? Okay. Oh, yes, ma'am. Oh.
Really quickly, I was wondering, with the MMA, how new is it? And do you see that in the future those times will come down?
I think it's fairly new. We've only started using it in the last couple years. I know a lot of other cities like Richmond has used it for their bus rapid transit for the red, and the city of Raleigh is also going to use it on our bus rapid transit system as well. Currently, we roll it on with rollers. There is an option to spray it, but however, we don't have that equipment. So,
Awesome. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Okay. So a little bit about our program. Our program was set up as a stopgap for when markings wear out between resurfacing. So we all know roads don't get resurfaced that often. Generally somewhere between 10 and 30 years, depending on the size of the road and what type of vehicles travel on it. So the amount of work our program does is directly related to those resurfacing schedules. So assuming our budget stays the same and the years between resurfacing increase, then our level of service goes down. So for scale, there are over 500 miles of roads that have pavement markings on it. And you'll see on the next slide, a majority of those roads are DOT. So for every dot on this map represents a marking that's on the road. And as you can see, we have a lot of pavement markings. So half the streets in the city have pavement markings on them. And this equates to approximately 11 million in marking assets. So in order to refresh or replace these markings, for the recommended 7-year cycle, it would have cost approximately $1.6 million a year. So now that you know what we maintain, so what are our current resources? For what our program has budgeted is shown as the green piece of the pie on your screen. We have $70,000 for materials and $90,000 for contract work for a total of $160,000 a year. So in addition to the work that we do in-house for our staff and our contractors, we do have markings installed via our resurfacing program and NCDOT. So the exact amounts vary depending on which roads get surfaced every year, but on average, it's about $600,000. So if you remember from the previous slide, if we were to implement that 7-year cycle, it would cost $1.6 million a year. So that leaves the gap of around $850,000 annually. So our city has full 3 full-time staff members to install markings. And you can see them on the screen. They install markings on lower speed, lower volume roads, and they're able to really respond quickly to any urgent requests that we have. So there is a challenge to only having 3 staff. While it's our responsibility to make sure that the pavement markings get installed, it's also our responsibility to make sure these guys go home safe at night. So it takes 3 people to have a safe work area. So if someone's out sick or on leave, then it really limits where these employees can go work during the day and the type of work they can do. For any larger jobs that we have that require any sort of traffic control, such as flaggers, we currently have supervisors, or we pull sign crews from their regular duties to go out and help. So in addition to our in-house staff, we do use contractors. We typically use them on the higher volume, higher speed roads. They have the larger trucks, like you saw in the picture earlier, and they have crash attenuators, so that helps keep the workers safe on those roads. As you see on the screen, we have benchmarked a couple peer cities, such as Charlotte and Greensboro and Durham. They all work with a similar model as we do. They all have in-house staff, and then they supplement with contract work. So I do want to make a note that the annual budget shown on here does not show the cost of NCDOT resurfacing. So that's all in-house work. Do you have any questions on the resources? Yes, ma'am.
With NCDOT, do they have a budget for pavement markings as well, or are we handling all of their roads too?
So we do not handle NCDOT pavement markings. So our resurfacing pavement markings, they handle those themselves.
And do you have any information, maybe not here, of their statistics? Do they have statistics of what they're doing and the money they allocate for pavement markings?
I'm sure they do. You mean as far as resurfacing or maintenance?
Maintenance.
I do not have, I know they have a contract similar to us.
Got it.
It's around,
We'll
don't
get
know how
that for you in a follow-up.
Thank you so much.
thank you. Okay. So what are our challenges? So our biggest challenges we face is we're falling further behind each year. So over a decade, council approved the funding increase for resurfacing. So while this did help, that budget has been stretched to help us complete our ADA transition plan as part of the resurfacing. Our second challenge is our city's growing. So with more new roads, we get more markings. And with our current resources, our program can only be reactive as far as maintenance, not proactive. We do have some wonderful multimodal and Vision Zero projects that are being funded and installed, and our program often partners with them to help install some of this infrastructure. However, these new programs bring more markings and more bollards that we have to maintain. So one thing to remember, if a marking is installed today, it's going to have to be refreshed in 7 to 10 years. Yes, sir.
I can ask at the end, or I can ask now, whatever. So 2 questions on this. We initiated and funded the Vision Zero program during my council duration, so I know that's a relatively new thing, but I know that we allocated the funding to hire the program coordinator. Did that not also include funding to, I guess, capture some of these increased markings and bollards and things like that?
So we do have a coordinator. Mr. Driscoll's in our office today. I will tell you, we will be bringing something to you about the Vision Zero, the Safe Streets for All program. Part of that, part of Mr. Driscoll's his duties have been to put together a plan that we were going to use. That plan was going to be required to tap some of then planned federal funding around that. We have been funding Vision Zero projects, Calgary, that intersection with Cavalry and Capitol Boulevard, thank you. We've been funding projects out of a pocket of money that we've got for that as well. But to Rebecca's point, a lot of these things go even beyond that, and as we continue to have a more robust implementation around Vision Zero and some of our other ADA implementations, we're going to have to really beat the bushes for some other funding sources, whether it be federal or state. So we're working on that.
Yeah, 'cause it seems like we should build into the cost of a project also the future maintenance of the improvements. And then on the micromobility, I know that obviously the scooter companies, for example, they pay a fee to the city. Can a portion of that be allocated towards this?
Yes,
Maintenance?
if we can capture that in the budgeting process, we can reallocate that toward those things. The good thing about the work that we've done with micromobility is a lot of that work is outside of the sort of travel portion of the roadway, so it's more durable, it will last much longer. And there are some things that Rebecca will talk about a little bit about some of the innovations that we're looking at and some other materials and program types and stuff a little bit deeper into the presentation. But your points are spot on, and those are the kinds of places we're going to be looking for funding to support this.
Okay. So with our limited resources, our program has really tried to maximize efficiency in where and how markings are installed. So we're leveraging technology by using a combination of our CityWorks work order system, GIS, and Power BI to track our requests and work orders. So if you look to the right of the screen there, you'll see some data that we've been collecting. We're still in the process of collecting that information, but we're really excited to have real-time metrics that we're going to be able to use to track the work completed and some work that we have to do. All of our work is prioritized, so we prioritize around safety. Markings near schools, high crash areas, busy crossings, and those used by our vulnerable users are prioritized first. The first thing we always check is, hey, is there a resurfacing project coming, or is there another project that might handle some of these concerns? Because if a road's going to be resurfaced in 1 to 2 years, our maintenance budget is really better utilized on a road that may be 5 or 10 years out. So looking ahead, as you know, our program is directly tied to resurfacing. So the lower the resurfacing rate, the end user will see a lower level of service and marking maintenance. So that means that you'll see more areas where the markings are really faded or you can't see them. Our funding levels have not kept up with growth, with our operating budget having been relatively static for over a decade. But the timing of this meeting is great. So I get to share with you a new challenge ahead. We have a new ruling from the Federal Highway Administration that will require markings to meet new visibility standards. So in the past, you were only required to be reflective. They didn't say how reflective you had to be. So this means they had to be have enough light to be clearly seen day and night. And so this comes back to those glass beads in your thermoplastic there. Are there going to be still enough present to meet those reflectivity standards? So if we don't comply, that could be a liability issue and cause some safety consequences. So in September of 2026, we have to have a plan in place on how we're going to maintain the markings moving forward. But note that the markings do not have to be upgraded by September of 2026. We just have to have a plan. So the good news is we had a very similar mandate for our signs many years ago. So we have a system that we have implemented in place that we feel like we could use for markings as well. This plan is going to show us what we need to do, but it's not necessarily going to provide the resources to implement it. So this concludes my presentation. Do you have any other questions for me?
I'm certain that we do. I'll start with mine and then hand the mic over. Thank you. Did a great job.
Thank you.
So one thing I just want to put a fine point on that I heard you say, that I think I just want to make sure I'm filing this away in my brain because it will come up in when we go out into community. You said that if the pavement markings are installed in non-ideal conditions, then it shortens the lifespan of them.
Correct. So you may have seen, I think maybe a close example was up here at Hargett and Salisbury Street. We put some of that art down in the dead space there. And you can see some of it starting to crack up because the pavement underneath of it already had some cracks in it. We tried to fill it a little bit, but once water gets under there, then when it starts to chip, it really keeps going.
Got it. And as a different example, when we restriped the Falls of the Noose Bridge, I know it was like going to happen, and it was raining, and it was going to happen, and we had put on hold until we got those ideal conditions, to consternation of some community members. But this, I think, might help them understand. Waited that off and on, and waiting for those 2 weeks means that we're actually going to get the full
That's right.
7-year lifespan out of those.
Using the
It's worth
ideal
it in
conditions, you'll have longer longevity of the markings.
Got it. Really helpful. And then I was just noticing, I guess it's not a question, but when you put the comps from other cities up, you know, Greensboro is much smaller than us and has the most similar budget for this program. Charlotte's is many orders of magnitude larger than ours, and then Durham is larger than ours, even though it's a smaller city geographically and population-wise. So just clearly there's a delta. I think in many of our departments, we see that folks are a victim of their own success. You all do so well doing more with less. And anyway, and sounds like this new ruling will come in line with the budget, and we'll find a way to fill that delta so we can be proactive. But yeah, I guess it's not a question, just an observation. But other questions from my colleagues?
Yeah, thank you. Again, great job. Great job. Thank you for being here. I want to highlight what you just said, because it's what's been going on in my mind is how do we say this to the public so they understand. So I like to replace, when I talk about these things, the word taxes with services. And so I say, hey, when you say I want to lower my taxes, I hear you want to lower your services. And I want to be able to explain. So this information is so helpful to be able to say those so that people understand why it's important that we keep up with growth and how we do that. So that's great. We were talking about the plan. I know it needs to be made by 2026. Is there a date of when it needs to be implemented?
There's not an implementation date. So you just have to have a plan in place, and you need to be following the plan that you set up.
And then for the reflective, what are the metrics? Like, do you feel that this is the only option to get the level of reflection that they require? Are there other lower, like I know we have the thermoplastics, and that's great. Are there other options that get us close or get us there that aren't as?
As far as materials?
Yes.
So thermoplastic has been, DOT's done a study. Okay. Thermoplastic is one of the more long-lasting materials to use.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much.
Council member, if I might, so some of the metrics around that, we do have a piece of equipment. I think we have that in hand, the retroreflectivity.
We have one for the signs. We don't have one for the markings yet.
Yeah, so we will have one of those. That will tell us, we'll tell staff what that reflectivity rate is, and that's a way that we're going to be able to measure our compliance with the new rules.
And will we be audited on that by the?
In theory, we could be, yes.
We could be, but we don't know. They haven't set those. It's not like a yearly audit that we'll have to see. Okay. All right. Thank you.
One more that I have, and then it did sound like we had some community members present who might be interested in having some time to speak. But I did wonder if there are unrelated, like indirect efforts that we can do in our street designs to help like prolong the lives of these markings. You know, I know when we have street trees and it shades the asphalt, that can prolong the life of the asphalt. Are there sort of these like adjacent hacks that can help us stretch the life?
Hey, I'm kind of phoning a friend. Ben can speak to this. Hey, I'm Jed Niffenegger, Transportation. My colleague here, Ben, who works with us, they're using coating titanium dioxide, I believe, and you can speak to that. It elongates the pavement life, but also the markings.
That's like the cooling pavement?
Yep. So good afternoon. My name is Ben Griffin. I'm the Street Maintenance Division Manager here at the City of Raleigh. And there's a few different tools we have in the toolbox to try to lengthen the life cycle of our streets. And one of the biggest ones that we've implemented here in the short term is pavement rejuvenation. You may have seen the article that came out recently about our Cool Pavement program. That's essentially the program that we utilize as a first step to lengthen that life cycle. It adds roughly 5 to 8 years of life cycle to a street that's normally designed for a 25 to 30-year service life. So that's one of the main tools we use. And then from there, we look at different types of seal coating, albeit different than maybe what you see in a parking lot, but low-cost type seal coating. We'd have to come back and reapply pavement markings on top of that, but again, that could act as a refresh of the pavement markings longer term. And then you see the normal pavement resurfacing, which is a more intensive operation. We often do traffic pattern changes, that sort of thing. So that hopefully like gives you kind of a glimpse of the tools we have available in terms of pavement life.
not a question, but I think more of a discussion for the next budget, because I feel like we're always in budget season. Like that just never ends. We did a fantastic job last year of making sure that we honored our employees and bringing them up to pay. And now I think this year I'm really looking at each department and saying, okay, what is the true need? Where are the staffing levels? Because I'm hearing across departments that it's been years and years and years since we've added more staff. And so I'm really hopeful that as we walk into this next cycle that we're seeing that I can talk to the community and say, you will see reflected in this budget things that will help us get the jobs done and help get the services to you, and be real with them and say, but that will mean a tax increase, services increase, and that's what I want to be able to say. So please feel empowered to be completely honest with us. And I'm so appreciative of the information that you're sharing right now, because now it's going to sit on my mind as I'm having those conversations so I can ask those questions. So really thank you for being here and for explaining all this to us.
Hey, good afternoon. Hey, Paul Cowan, Transportation Director. So really a great job, Rebecca. So we're just planting the seed really for the upcoming budget discussion. So likely with that, you're going to probably see maybe some staffing needs, then along maybe with some contractual resources, and then monies for in-house. So again, this is really providing y'all for information and what likely is going to be coming here in the next couple of months in further discussion. So we thank y'all for your support.
Paul, maybe before you go too far, sorry, this is a little bit adjacent, a little bit afield from our topic, but I see some community members who might have interest. Can you just give a real quick 2-sentence update on the quick build and tactical urbanism work that you might bring forward maybe in the future?
Yeah, quick thing on that. So we got an internal team working on that. We've had a couple meetings. We've kind of noticed some of these tactical things that the community wants to look at. We've got components of that, frankly, kind of scattered through the city in different organizations. So we have collectively brought about 5 departments together, internal, to start documenting that. We've actually got a pretty good list of what those programs are. So our goal is, frankly, to put something in a future manager's update to give the council an update on kind of where we are with this tactical urbanism. And then, frankly, lay out what I consider an easy process. Hey, I'm the customer. I've got an idea. Who do I go see at the city of Raleigh? And what is that kind of simplified process? So we're looking at our encroachment process because that has kind of similar components that come through it. So again, we're trying to simplify and frankly not recreate the wheel. So I'm hoping in about 60 days, we're going to have something to share with the council. We're actually meeting with Oaks and Spokes and some other outside organizations to get feedback on things that they'd want to see as part of this tactical urbanism. So I feel like we're heading in the right direction. So just be a little patient. Give us probably a couple more months here, and we'll have something to roll out to the public.
Thank you.
I had follow-up kind of related questions. I think this is on topic because it's in the slides. But where we're doing these scooter corrals, I know that we have a plan to implement switching out the old bike shares and making those sort of corrals. Are we going to do bike parking in them?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's the plan. We'll actually have a mixture of those, Bradley. So roughly, 70 locations? I think we've got kind of picked out already in the downtown for these.
And my question may have been bad. Are we going to put like a bike stand, like a, why am I losing the word here?
The docking station?
No, like if I have my own personal scooter, I need to tie it up.
Oh, some of the, yes, yeah, we'll actually have some of those sprinkled in those corrals as well. We've got a couple down in the Glenwood South.
I've noticed.
Where you can go if you're riding your personal bike and, hey, you want to lock it up, we're going to have some of those sprinkled as well in those corrals that we're looking at downtown.
Because there was one, I know we're just starting this, but I took my scooter somewhere this weekend and I had nowhere to hook up, so I hooked up on a street sign. We had the markings of what will be a crowd. I was like, I hope we're going to put a bike rack here or something. Yeah. And then my second question is back to tactical urbanism. Are we looking at, I constantly think of places where I take my scooter or bike and the private business doesn't have a place for bike parking, but are we looking at how we can make it really easy for private business owners to contact the city and say, hey, we want to put bike parking here, whether they do it themselves? Usually it's them doing it themselves, but is there like a very quick, easy process?
Yes, so what I would probably recommend, our parking division is very innovative. They're always looking at curb space management. So places that are underutilized, I just frankly tell people, hey, get the business owner to reach out to us. We're going to put them in touch with probably Tony Howard in parking, and he's usually going out. And if anybody is creative enough, Tony is one of those that's going to do that. So I think we've got opportunities there. So if y'all get requests on, hey, can we repivot and do something different, just send it our way, and we'll be happy to reach out to them.
I will get his contact info and bring it to Oakwood Deli
Okay.
this weekend.
Yep, great, thanks.
All right. I think that has us covered. We were planning to be vicious, but we took it easy. No, I'm kidding. You did a wonderful job. I do think we have some community members who are interested in speaking. We can bring the mic back to you if you'd prefer. All right, coming down. All right. Let's put, Ralph, do 3 minutes. To get it set up.
Good afternoon. Oh, thanks, sir. Good afternoon. I'm Reverend Robert Parrish. I'm the president of the Triangle Federation of the Blind, and I'm a member of the Raleigh Commission. We just changed our name. What do we call it? Raleigh Commission
Persons with
for
Disabilities.
People with Disabilities. We used to be the Raleigh Mayor's Committee. It's taken some time to get used to that new name, as you can see. But I want to speak to the matter of crosswalks being tactile. And I've heard a lot of mention about reflection. That's good if you can see it. But some of us who are blind and visually impaired cannot see that reflection. And I'm wondering, has there been much discussion in at least some of the major areas having more tactile street crossings? I have been a part of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Commission, and that was brought up as a point of discussion. So I wonder, what is the thought in making at least some of the street crossings more tactile, particularly on streets that don't have stoplights or audible signals? We have those, and they help. But I think having the crosswalks being tactile, at least in some of the major areas, especially areas that don't have any audible signals or stoplights, would enhance safety.
Yeah, thank you so much for your comments. I do know there's some programs related to getting those audible traffic crossings. We're doing some work to raise the crosswalks in more places, but I don't know, Assistant City Manager Moore, if you want to speak more fulsomely about that.
We'll get back with you on that. That's a great point, and that we'll put together a report for you and get that back in the manager's update.
That'd be great. All right. Ben.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for your service. My name is Mark Teague. I'm glad the scooter discussion came out because, you know, as a visually impaired person, we're having to share the sidewalks now with scooters, with wheelchairs, with bikes. So I do have that concern. I did want to bring that up. And pavement markings, I have low vision. It's critical. The city, it's very hard to navigate, to be honest. Thank you again for your service.
And thank you so much, Mr. Teague and Mr. Parrish, for coming out. You don't have to sign up. Would you like to speak? All right, come on down. Oh. This is my default ringer.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Quan Yu. I'm with Oaks and Spokes. Since we talked about pavement marking today, I have some questions, maybe a little bit of suggestions as well. There's definitely some improvement as far as bike lane and bicycle infrastructure. One of the things that we haven't seen quite often in this town is what we normally would call a two-stage bike box. you may have seen one right around, well, similar one around Persons in Hargate, where if the bike lane is too, if the traffic lane is too wide, it's harder for bicycle to navigate all the way to the left lane to make that left turn. So the idea is to put a bike box in the turning direction so the cyclists get there and turn around. I'm seeing quite a lot of those. There's definitely some spot that says, for example, if you're traveling eastbound on Morgan and turn on Persons, you hit that protected bike lane, you can't make it out of that protected bike lane and make that left turn on the person. So it's a little bit difficult. So spot like that where if we can think about making those kind of improvements, that would be perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate all our speakers. I think they've given us some good feedback to fold into this program and beyond. And we look forward to what you'll bring forward in the budget conversation. It sounds like we have a lot of good work happening, but more need than resources available at the moment. Anything else, colleagues, before we close out?
Keep this. You may keep that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed someone in the corner. I missed one community member.
Yeah, well, I wasn't prepared to speak, but I want to say I have astigmatism with corona curvature problem. So sometimes when I navigate in a sidewalk, like if there's scooter parking there, like sometimes it's like if I cannot see it very well, then like at night, then like Jonathan was very good in raising the point about parking spaces for scooter in private businesses, because like sometimes people leave the scooter, renting scooter, and then leaving in private businesses, blocking the sidewalk, and I think it's increasingly frequent issue to managing that kind of thing. And other than that, good is a good thing to manage the color on the material. I don't know the material stuff, but it's a very educational thing to know, to come here to see cities doing things, finally to address the problem.
Thank you. I just wanted to add one more thing too. You know what Mr. Teague was saying about sidewalks having to share space with like other mobilities. It's really supposed to be for pedestrians. And I do think as we increase our non-car infrastructure, we're going to provide more safe options for people to ride other things. However, some people just don't do it. I mean, I was riding my scooter in a bike lane down Person Street the other day, and someone was riding their bicycle on the sidewalk, and I was in a designated bike lane. So I was like, I don't know how we fix that, because the bike lane's right here, and they're still biking on the sidewalk. So some of it is a educational piece, and so I'd also just offer that up for our Vision Zero program. I know you all work on that. I know you work with our community partners like Oaks and Spokes and BPAC, but we do also have to, I think, educate the community, our friends, about the importance of using the space that is provided to them that is appropriate for their mode of travel.
And I have, when I've used things like the Lime scooters, sometimes you can't unlock the scooter until you've clicked through a little orientation and committed that you're going to ride in the designated area. And that was in a different town when I experienced that. So I don't know if our own Lime scooter does that, or if there's more we can do to like nudge the private providers to also facilitate the behaviors we're wanting to see.
Well, if I can add, it does say directly printed on the scooter, do not ride on the sidewalks. So we've done a lot, but folks will ride where they feel like they're safe. So,
Yeah.
So Madam Chair, I'm hoping you'll want to report this out just as information with no recommendation. So.
Yep, absolutely. So I'll make a motion to report this out with no action taken. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. All right. And with that, meeting's adjourned.